Hello, hi, I didn't see you there. My name is Bliss Foster, and today we are covering Vetements Spring Summer 2019. This is an incredibly special episode because this is ultimately brought to you by you. The way that these work is that I post 3 looks a day from a specific runway show to my story on Instagram and to my fleets on Twitter, and then everybody just tells me what those looks remind them of, even if it's something in their personal life, or if they know of a reference that that look is making, or if they're close to the team at Vetements and are able to tell me some insider cool story about how that look came about. Ultimately, though, the runway show analysis is brought to you by you. One very cool individual reached out to Vetements to see if we could get the show notes for this particular season, and they very kindly rejected that request. And ultimately, we don't need them because, great news, we found everything. I love doing this project because ultimately I would have never been able to come up with the level of detail that all of you are able to come up with just by looking at the thing. This is, for anybody who is in analysis professionally, you know that ultimately the most valuable resource that you have is your personal experience. That is what makes looking at art very valuable, is that you bring your own personal experience into it, and all of you kind of crowdsourced your collective experiences together, and we came up with some really brilliant stuff. We're going to start this out by looking through the entire show very, very quickly, and I'm going to read to you a statement that someone sent to me with their general thoughts about the show that I thought was particularly beautiful. Quote, regarding Vetements, all the beauty of it. It's a fashion prank only visible to those who were born in the territory of the former Soviet Union or Eastern Europe. It's a question of styling, not a question of clothes. I have no idea why at the beginning Demna repeatedly claimed that his approach to fashion is all about the individual garment and not about using fashion in order to sell a lifestyle. Because that's exactly what he did in the end. In the Soviet Union, where people were trapped within territory which had nothing to do with the international flow of fashion, produced the minimum, extremely poor level of quality people had to adapt. I've seen these combinations of clothes from the Vetements runway before so many times, because whenever I go outside the center of a city or go to my dacha, which means summer house, all the people around me will be the same way creative as Demna is here. Local Russian fashion designers and fashion researchers can see something that the rest of the world doesn't, because the rest of the world didn't experience it. They've always had plenty of everything, clothes included. But Vetements' styling is as if it was made out of necessity. Baggy this, lousy that, a very bold babushka scarf because you literally have nothing else. Born out of a deficit, so to say. The clothing collages on the runway are expected for us born in the same territory. They do follow the certain patterns and rules of different groups, commodification of anti-style of Soviet in the early era of post-Soviet Russia. The understanding of the way cultural capital functions in contemporary society is a key to success these days. Is it about clothes again? I don't think so. It's Instagrammable, sellable hype. It's post-Soviet theater made by recontextualization and rearticulation of the familiar into a sellable product fresh for those with the safe and wealthy Western backgrounds. Vetements' statement, "What we do is nothing new," is very self-aware. All of this is kind of the mythos of Vetements. We're not saying this is exactly what it does mean. I'm taking out of the over 1,000 of you that ended up commenting on this and kind of contributing your thoughts, I'm kind of culling out the ones that I thought were the most provocative and the most interesting, and we're just kind of gonna flow through all of them. Join me. This is going to be so much fun. I am so grateful to everybody who participated in this. These are just too much fun. They're great. For everybody in the community here who really loves discussing the artfulness and the nuances of fashion and wants to go one deeper on that, you should get on the Discord server. The Discord server is one of the perks of the Patreon, but it is well worth it. You get tons of exclusive stuff and you're supporting independent fashion journalism. This stuff can't happen without you. And also the Discord server is bussin', it's the best. It's like a massive group chat of people just talking about clothes all day. Join up. The taxidermied animals in the background of the Natural History Museum where the show took place is very reminiscent of Alexander McQueen's Spring-Summer 2009 collection. Let's start with look 1, shall we? First of all, Steve Jobs. Big Steve Jobs energy on this one. The tag on this shirt is a play on the IKEA tag. Also, the warning that's on this gentleman's shirt is the same warning that they have on the Vetements Uncensored page. It reads, "What you are about to witness will disturb you, even shock you. There is a dark side of humanity the censors won't let you see, but we will." We searched far and wide to try to figure out where that quote is actually from, and it doesn't seem to be from anything in particular. But it mostly seemed to be like kind of relevant to like the faces of death or I stand alone kind of warnings that they put into those different things. It piques your interest in what's about to happen. Also pretty funny that the IKEA label misspells cotton for a lot of different languages. We had multiple people hit me up saying, that is definitely not how you spell cotton in my language. I absolutely love it when people send me dissertations, and in Look 2 we did get a little dissertation where someone was making a wider kind of sweeping statement about the larger statement in the show. Obviously we have lots of different references to the anarchy logo. The symbol kind of is a carried through point throughout the show, a motif, if you will. We had a really excellent comment where someone said, Demna was from Soviet Georgia, right? I see this piece as a slight towards anarcho-communism. Now, I don't think that Demna is too fond of the Soviet Union's authoritarian government, which were started because of an anarcho-communist overthrow. And as we see, the anarchy symbol is upside down, as I believe he's making a mockery of it. I think that with this piece, he's trying to address the rise of socialist views in modern society. What I believe he's either trying to say is, quote, the way government comes to power is important, even though having socialist ideas could be a good thing. Under a repressive government, they're just as bad as not having them at all. Or he is saying, be careful what you wish for and look to history for what could happen if we don't take this seriously and make the right choice. And this is really why I like doing this project so much, because I mean, that level of understanding and nuance is something that I could not come to on my own, just kind of researching and finding articles and reading Wikipedia pages. And again, especially on the political statements here, this is not canon. This is not exactly what's being said. This is an interpretation. If that's something where anybody sees something differently, or if you just like disagree with the statement outright, I would love for discussion to get started about stuff like that. Do it up. In Look 3, we have a little reference to the Margiela replica line. Obviously, Demna has been hugely influenced by the work of Martin Margiela. Look 4 is where we get something incredible. Okay, so these pants right here, I would have never gotten this on my own. These pants say made in Europe. It's a pretty specific like font, and it's a pretty specific layout on the pants or whatever. So someone who grew up in Eastern Europe was like, oh, those are prisoner's pants. Crazy, so crazy. I love my job so much. Someone else mentioned that it's interesting how Europe is sort of falling apart. The screen print is faded. And apparently on the back of these same pants, there is the EU collection of stars, but it's missing a star. So it's kind of this statement about Europe sort of falling apart and being a prison. In Look 5, the parental advisory patch is placed like a clerical collar, and the neck placement indicates suffocation under censorship. Fuck the police. Coming straight from the underground. In Look 6, we have another Margiela reference with the pants skirt. In this look, besides heavy references to the young William Eyelash, we also have the logo for the dark web website, the Silk Road. In Look 10, I would have never caught this, the B covering the W here looks exactly like the logo for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Youth culture forever. Someone also pointed out that in many occult schools of thought, you practice reading backwards and upside down. That is the Gryffindor tie from Harry Potter. In Look 11, we see something that will be recognizable to many people. The original for this reads, this hidden site has been seized by the FBI in conjunction with the IRS, ICE, Homeland Security, and the drug other titles of other places and things. Basically, this website can't exist anymore because the government has taken control of it. And it's also written in a standard lorem ipsum, which is dummy text. Basically, when you're building a website, you install lorem ipsum so that you can show people like, this is what the layout of the text on the website will look like, even if the copy text has not been written yet. Here we have a classic Demna situation where we're doing plays on very recognizable logos for things like Maestro and Amazon and Coca-Cola. He's done this for a lot of Balenciaga shows and also for some Vetements shows before in the past. A lot of people also said this reminded them of Raph's Consumed collection. In Look 13, the graphic on the windbreaker says Interpol in Cyrillic and also using Latin letters, which could again just be a reference to the banning of a website in Demna's home country. Look 14 is incognito mode, the outfit. Especially combined with the stuff about the Silk Road, this is likely just ongoing references to government surveillance online. In this look here, we see a section that says don't be evil, which used to be Google's motto before they changed it to do the right thing. I always liked the old one better. It seemed more self-aware of what's at stake. Someone specifically said, maybe I'm reaching with this one, but obviously the front graphic is a reference to the US election, and I feel like the designer purposefully paired that hoodie with the error genes to make a reference about the negative impact that social media and the internet has had on elections. And also Google removing that from their corporate code of conduct was so ironic. Well, guys, maybe being evil is not so bad. This one is nuts. We had a lot of comments about this one. So obviously, first of all, it is an upside down coat. It is the reverse of a regular, like, massive puffer coat. But because it's reversed, it almost has the opposite effect of a big coat like that, because it's almost like collecting the water in a basin. And then someone pointed out brilliantly that this is probably like a post-internet millennial take on the classic Cristobal Balenciaga envelope dress. Oh my gosh. I love my job so much. This shit is so cool. In look 19, we seem to have ice hockey socks and also a strong reference to teenagers customizing their JanSport backpacks. The whole vibe of this hoodie is based on tourist clothes that you're able to buy when you go to like a major city or something. Someone also pointed out that the models' faces often match what's going on with the outfit specifically. Like, this person seems very like, thanks mom, I hate it. Also, these jeans are based on the airborne surplus cargo pants that are available on Amazon and cost like no money. Mwah, it's awful. Also, the word birthday is written in the Barbie logo's typeface. In the next look, a major theme of this collection emerges in the form of the good Dr. Kurt Cobain. Oh my gosh, I'm so sick of this bell. I'm sick of this bell, Isaac.
Sick of this damn bell going off, not giving me direct time.
Leave! I am so sorry about that, folks. In the next look, a major theme of this show emerges in the form of the good Dr. Kurt Cobain. Back in the 90s, it was a really big deal for men to wear dresses. And many folks still seem to struggle with that for whatever reason. In this look, the tie is actually stitched to the shirt, so we have an even lazier take on the clip-on tie. Look 29 is bringing me back because it's the Pirate Bay. And interesting, so someone actually pointed out to me, I hadn't seen this picture before, but they pointed out that the back of it is designed like a band t-shirt, and it lists all of the countries where the Pirate Bay was active before it got finally taken down. That is such a cool detail. I mean, like, this whole idea of like the ironic t-shirt thing, Vetements really has just master strokes. They've really perfected the art of the ironic t-shirt. We can see a bootleg nylon Prada piece here. A little bit later on, we see a piece that feels kind of out of whack with the rest of the collection. This feels surprisingly elegant and like really pretty considering all the other things that we've seen. This is actually a reference to a Courtney Love dress that she was photographed in once, which furthers this theme of Kurt Cobain in the show itself. And to underscore that yet again, we have a moth-eaten sweater in this look, which is another reference to Kurt Cobain. And then in look 36, who is it? Oh man, it's Kurt Cobain again, y'all! One of the most famous magazine covers that Kurt Cobain ever did was this one where he agreed to pose on the cover of Rolling Stone, but only if he could wear this t-shirt that said corporate magazines still suck. Very cool that they actually replicated the stains that existed on the original piece that went to auction a few years ago in the Runway collection piece. And also, it's worth noting that Courtney Love publicly pitched a fit when they announced that this was going to be part of the collection. In look 37, we have kind of what someone described as horrorcore Heidi, which is one of the only anime series to gain any kind of mainstream success in Germany. It's a cute little touch there. And more Kurt references. One person messaged me and was like, okay, Demna is starting to look like a really crazy Kurt Cobain fan now. So true. In look 40, we have an excellent reference to Killa Cameron. In look 41, this person is part of the way through joining the military. He's only half there. No one could articulate exactly why, but this uniform here just kind of feels Nazi-ish. Also interesting to note that the shirt is built upside down, so like the pockets themselves are upside down. This next look is incredibly cool. So the hats that we've seen in a couple of different looks here are actually just the hats from last season where they just said the days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. But they painted over them with these graphics that are very reminiscent of the Call of Duty franchise. Insider story that I was provided by a former employee of Vetements is that shirts like this are not actually making fun of veganism. That was kind of my impression too off rip. I'm not a vegan at all, but I have an enormous respect for those people, and I kind of don't appreciate it when people like mock vegans. And so this sort of passively made me feel uncomfortable, but I was like, okay, just moving on. And then someone said, hey, by the way, this is not like a rip on vegans. It's irony from people who apparently a lot of the team at Vetements are vegans. And then the back of this piece is actually printed with a recipe for vegan meatloaf. This look here actually had a strong correlation to the artist is present, where Marina Abramovich is doing a installation art piece where she herself is sitting for weeks and looking into the eyes of strangers who come to see her. It is one of the best art documentaries that you will ever see in your entire life. So good. But this look seems to be a very direct reference to the very purposeful piece that they made for her for this installation piece. There was a lot that went into making this dress the way that it was for Marina. Finally, these anonymous looks that they have on the runway. There's a really interesting origin story to those that I got told again by a former employee of Vetements. He said, "These leather face coverings are actually attached to a hoodie underneath and have quite the interesting origin. Demna was taking the train and working on his mood board using his iPhone. Apparently, people around him were always looking at his screen, so he added the covering to this hood so that he could work in peace while he was sitting on the train during his commute." Okay, so before we end this, there's a really beautiful quote that I want to close us out with. After the entire project had been completed on Instagram and Twitter, someone reached out to me and said this about the show. "Something that stands out to me about the show in general is how good all these designs look when you look at them in more detail. It makes me realize how I've sort of come to expect fashion to reveal its beauty at first glance. I've previously only thought of Vetements as an ironic commentary, but after watching the stories, it seems to me like the ironic style is accompanied by a very genuine appreciation for the people from which the brand borrows its aesthetic, which is honestly quite moving and beautiful." Friends, the biggest thing that I want you to take away from this is that art will reward you many times over if you spend a lot of time with it. If you want to come to a better understanding of anything, you have to spend a lot of time with it. If you're just flipping through the Vogue app really quickly, just scrolling through a couple of looks on Twitter, it's never going to reveal its nature to you. But if you really take the time to look through fashion, it will reward you for it. And it will always feel better for you to have a really in-depth, intimate understanding of a handful of collections than a mile wide and inch deep on lots of different collections. I cannot wait to do this again for another runway show. Again, if you really love doing stuff like this, we're always taking things apart and thinking about things more deeply on the Discord server. You should join the greatest fashion community in the world. Join the Patreon, get on the Discord server, and make more fashion friends. And if you want to participate in the next group project like this, we're probably going to do one in February, so follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I love you all a lot. Bye.